Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jerry Tarkovsky, and you are watching Video Content Marketing for Your Business. Now, because of daylight savings in the USA, times have changed a little bit. I'm doing this from Australia, and I do it at 10 a.m. every Wednesday, every week. But because of daylight savings in the USA, your times have moved forward by an hour, so it's a little bit different there. Australia daylight savings ends at the end of April, so then we go back to the original times again. So just watch out for that if you're watching this live. If you're watching a replay, then it really doesn't matter, does it? No. Okay. This is episode number 14, and we are looking at video storytelling and show, don't tell. And if you don't know what that means, I'll explain all of that to you in this episode. We are going to cover a number of things. If you really are interested in storytelling for your brand, you can also look at episode number 2. Episode number 2, go back in the files, in the archives, look for episode number 2. It's all about brand storytelling. It's quite an intense episode, and we cover all that. But we'll cover some things today as well. Now, we are going to look at the importance of storytelling for your business. Very, very important. We're also going to look at 2 distinct types of video storytelling, both very effective, both very important, and you should be doing both. And I'll explain those a bit later on. We'll also look at the classic story structure, which you can use for your stories. And at the end, I will show you an old Google video. I actually won't show you. I've actually screen captured the video, and I'm going to dissect it almost scene by scene. It's only a 50-second video, but I'm going to show you how a video can be extremely effective in its storytelling without using a video camera, lights, microphones, anything like that, that you can do right now. It would probably take you less than an hour to put together. It would cost you virtually nothing and be extremely effective. So I'm going to show you as an example of what you can do. And that's coming up very soon. Okay, so let's get on with it. As I said, we are on every week. Every week we are on, so please share it with your friends and colleagues, and we'll go from there. Okay, so now I'm just going to quickly switch over to the slides, and we're going to go straight into it because we've got a lot of action-packed things. Okay, here we are. Okay, so I'd like to officially welcome you to Video Content Marketing, episode number 14, Video Storytelling, Show, Don't Tell. Now, I did have someone ask me a question the other day about notes. Now, do you want notes or cheat sheets from this video or any future episode of Video Content Marketing sent to your inbox every week? So therefore, you don't need to take notes. It'll be sent to you, some very concise notes about the episode. If you miss an episode, you will receive it, and you can decide whether it's worth watching, because I'll also have a link to a video to watch it. Now, to get notes delivered to your inbox every week, just go to my website at www.vimico.com.au, and at the top of the website, you will see the little box there, receive free video marketing news. Just put your first name, last name, email address, click submit, and then just confirm your subscription. And every week, this is what I do to my existing subscribers. Every week I send them an email with notes from this episode or every episode each week, and a link to the videos. So if you want that service, obviously it's absolutely free. Just head on to my website, vimico.com.au, and just fill in that little form there, and you'll receive each week a little summary of each episode. So you can quickly skim through it, and if you like it, if it interests you, then you can then click on the link and watch the video. How's that? Pretty easy. Okay, let's move on. Now, why tell stories for our business? Well, our decision-making is motivated largely by our emotions and our ability to trust. Now, facts alone, we don't trust people. We need to develop a sort of relationship. We need to connect. And we do that by using stories. because stories reach our emotions, and this is how we learn to trust people. Right? The old adage, facts tell, but stories sell, because stories appeal to our emotional brain where the vast majority of our decision making is done. So value judgments are made on the basis of emotions and feelings, not thinking or logic. Your brain values the feelings, not the facts. And you get feelings from stories. You must be able to create stories for your brand in order to connect with your audience, okay? Because they make decisions based on feelings. They justify it later by facts, but it all starts with the emotions. So very important for your business to be creating stories. And as I said, if you want more information about this, have a look at episode number 2, which is brand story, and I'll go through all this in greater detail. But let's move on now. Now, one thing I have to say, very important for your storytelling, is authenticity. Okay, honesty and transparency are absolutely vital in brand storytelling. I want to emphasize that, honesty and transparency. Okay, stories need to be rooted in the reality of your brand. Again, look at stories coming from you. Don't copy other people's stories. It has to come from within your own brand. Your story must be consistent, persistent, and restraint. Okay, consistency. Keep the same story. Persevere with it and restrain it a little bit, all right? This is absolutely critical because confusion is the #1 brand killer. Okay, if you have two stories that conflict about your brand, then people get confused and don't understand what you're about. Okay, so I just want to make that very clear. Okay, now let's look at the two distinct types of video storytelling. Now, the first one is called narration. Now, this is you in front of a video camera telling a story. Now, this can be very powerful if you are talking about yourself, you're talking about your background, you're talking about the why you're doing your business, you're talking about the problems you had and you had to overcome those problems, and now you are ready to share your knowledge with your audience. So this is really a personal one-to-one, straight to video camera to your viewers. So a very powerful way of storytelling. Now, the other way of doing it is dramatization. Now, this is virtually creating a mini movie, and you see a lot of commercials on TV which have stories played by actors. They don't talk directly to the audience, but it could be a family scene, it could be, a work scene, it could be set anywhere, and it's a little story that really entices the audience to join into that story and feel the emotions and what the story is leading to. So there's the two distinct ways of telling a story using video, either straight to camera, the narration style, or by drama or a mini movie to tell your story. And they're both extremely effective, and you really should have both versions or use both different types of storytelling in your channel or your website. Now, very important, either way, you need to show and don't tell. Now, what does that mean? Well, show, don't tell is a storytelling technique to enable the audience to experience the story through action, words, thoughts, senses, and feelings, rather than through the author's exposition or summarization and description. Now, I'll give you some examples of that to make more sense of that, but what it really boils down to is show your story by action, by the words, whether of your narration or the characters, the thoughts, the senses, and the feelings, rather than just describing it. Okay, again, I'm going to show an example in a moment. So the goal is to allow the viewers to interpret significant details in the story. You want your audience to work. You want your audience to imagine what you're talking about or showing, because it engages them. It makes them part of the story. Right? Showing is essentially about making scenes vivid and more engaging for your audience. I'll show you a couple examples here. Okay, show, don't tell. Now, we said there's two types of storytelling, narration and dramatization. So let's look at narration. You could say, when you're talking direct to camera, I walked on stage and felt nervous. So there you're telling the audience what you're feeling. Now, compare that to this. I walked on stage and felt butterflies in my stomach and my hands were shaking. Okay, that's show. We're showing by explaining what's happening to you, the feelings. Now, in that second version, when you talk about walking on stage, which I think many of us have experienced, you can feel some butterflies in your stomach, your hands can start shaking. We've all experienced that in some way or another. And when you say those words, we feel it ourselves. We get a bit of a feeling of that ourselves, and we understand where you are at that moment. We connect with you because we understand exactly where you are. All right? Do you see how we can connect with our audience? Okay, that's showing, and then it's them feeling what you are feeling. Okay, can you see the difference between telling and showing in narration? In a drama setting, we could do this. We could say, I feel tired. Okay, that's telling. Now, how would you show that? Well, very easy. You yawn. When you yawn, your audience will know that you are feeling tired. No need to tell. We yawn. We experience the yawn, the sensation of yawning. Far more effective than saying, I feel tired. Okay, so I hope that explains to you the difference between showing and telling. Always go for showing. Okay, and when I do a little drama, one of the little tips I'll give you is I write a script and I don't use any dialogue at all to start off with. I explain what is happening in the scene, the intentions of each character, and I try and write it without using any dialogue whatsoever. If I can say, for instance, instead of saying I'm tired, I can just have the character yawn, is far more effective. Once I complete that, then I'll add dialogue, but only if I have to. And really, this is the best way of making sure that you are showing your audience what is happening so they can experience, they can engage with it, they can be active in watching your video. Okay, let's move on now. Now, this is a typical story structure. It's called Freitags Pyramid. And you'll see it starts off with setup or exposition, rising action to a climax, falling action, and then a resolution at the end. And obviously you see the tension rises once it reaches a climax and then it declines again. So let's look at this in detail. Now you can use this for both storytelling as a narrator, if you're telling a story, or you're using a mini drama to get your story across. But you can use this. This is a really typical classical style of story structure. So the exposition is at the start, or can be called the setup. The exposition is the portion of a story that introduces important background information to the audience. For example, information about the setting, the events occurring before the main plot, or the character's backstory. So this is giving all the information as an audience that we need to know. Now, sometimes you watch a movie and it starts off with action and you're thinking, what is happening? You don't know who are the goodies, the baddies. They're shooting each other. There's bombs exploding. You've got absolutely no idea what's happening. And that's done for a purpose. It's to create confusion. So you're absolutely confused. You're watching it, trying to work out what it is. But eventually they explain the exposition to you, probably straight after that. But you need to know the background. You need to know what the setting is about to fully understand what where the story is coming from. Exposition can be conveyed through dialogue, flashbacks, characters' thoughts, background details, or the narrator telling a backstory. So very important when you're doing a story, make sure the audience understands where it's coming from. So give all the vital information right at the very start. Then we have what's called the rising action. Now, in the rising action, a series of related incidents builds towards a point of greatest interest. Now, usually problems occur because that's what drama is about. Drama is when obstacle or problem gets in the way of the characters or main characters' goal or objective. So there's a problem, he has to solve the problem. That's where we get drama from. So these events are generally the most important parts of the story, since the entire plot depends on them to set up the climax and ultimately satisfactory resolution of the story itself. So that's the rising action. They are all the obstacles in the way of the main character achieving its objectives. Now, we reach the climax. Now, the climax is the turning point which changes the protagonist's fate. Okay, that's the point in the story where things change. Okay, there's been all these obstacles and it comes to an end. It's probably the hero versus the villain, and we're going to get some sort of a conclusion. Okay, if the story is a comedy, things will have gone badly for the protagonist, which is the hero, up until this point. Now, the plot will begin to unfold in his or her favor, often requiring the protagonist to draw on hidden inner strengths. So we see a lot of comedies where things are going absolutely wrong for the hero, and we get to the climax and things change. Things start to go right. But what happens in a tragedy? Well, if the story is a tragedy, the opposite state of affairs will ensue, where things are going from good to bad for the protagonist, often revealing the protagonist's hidden weaknesses. So it's going to end badly. Okay, now let's look at the falling action. Now, during the falling action, the conflict between the protagonist and the antagonist unravels, with the protagonist winning or losing against the antagonist. So the falling action may contain a moment of final suspense in which the final outcome of the conflict is in doubt. Now, I think we've all seen some movies where the hero, we think, has killed the villain, and we'll all settle down, we'll relax a little bit, and then all of a sudden the villain comes back to life and it's on again. So that's just a little bit of extra suspense. Then the resolution, of course, is the end of the story, where it compromises events from the end of the falling action to the actual ending of the scene or of the drama or narrative. So conflicts are resolved, creating normality for the characters and release of tension and anxiety for the viewer. So everything comes to an end. Now, the comedy ends where the protagonist is better off than at the story's outset. So, it's all good for the hero. However, in the tragedy ends with a catastrophe in which the protagonist is worse off than at the beginning of the narrative. All right, now let's look at how you can make a great story. Now, as I said, here I'm going to show you an example of a video from Google made way back in 2009 to demonstrate all of its new features. So just remember that this video was made to show off all the new things that Google could do. Now, we take it for granted now, but it was all new stuff. So Google had to find a way of showing you what it could do with all its new features and how it would benefit its users. Now, it could have easily said, okay, this is what we've got. You can do this, you can do that. But Google chose to tell it using a story. And I broke it down using screenshots just to go through with you. So let's look how it starts. Basically, it starts with someone typing in study abroad, Paris, France. So they type that in, they click on search. These results come up and they click on this particular link here. Then we see the person type in cafe. We don't see here, we just see this typed into the search. Cafes near the Louvre. He clicked on search and we got, do you mean cafes near the Louvre? So it actually shows Google can correct what you've actually written and suggest what you actually mean. So this is one of the new features of Google that we introduced. Okay, so clicks on that, and then we see a little map of Paris with all the different cafes in the area. Again, a new feature that Google wanted to show off. And there's all the list and the phone numbers and so forth. Next, he types in translate tout est très mignon. Click on search. So now we think, geez, Google can translate different languages. How cool is that? And we see the translation, "You're very cute." We think, what's going on here? The plot thickens. Then we see the person type in, "Impress a French girl." So now we're thinking, okay, here we've got a character, we've got a couple of characters now. And he's typed that in and he's looked, "How to impress a French woman, Paris Lug." And again, we get chocolate shops, Paris, France. Again, we get a map of all the different chocolate shops in Paris. And the plot continues to thicken. And then he types in Google, "long distance relationship advice." And it's really starting to blossom here. And next we have "working in France, jobs in Paris." This is from English as the main working language. So we see someone, obviously an English man or perhaps from the US, who wants to work in France all of a sudden. And then we see this, they typed in a flight number and you can see it's going from New York to Paris and they're tracking the status of that flight. So it's all coming to a head now. And now we see he's typed in "churches in Paris." So a whole list of different churches in Paris. So things are really hotting up. And then he types in "how to assemble a," and Google tries to work out what comes next. So which of these do you think will come next? You guessed it, "how to assemble a crib." There you go. So there is a story. There is a story from Google. Absolutely brilliant. A lovely little story, and it shows you all the features of Google. So let's break down this video for a second. This video achieved its objective to show the benefits of the new Google features. I think you'll agree with me. It showed the maps, it showed translation, how to check air flights and so forth. So it really does show all the new features that Google introduced back in 2009, and it used a story. The duration of the video was only 50 seconds, so it did it very quickly, very effectively. All of the videos simply used a screen capture software. That's all it was. It was just capturing the screen, putting in search results, and seeing what was on the screen. It's a story using only text from a screen, right? There's no special effects. There was no special text created. It was just the text that you would get on your computer. There were no video cameras, no actors, no lights, no microphones, no locations, virtually no costs at all. Absolutely would cost you nothing. You could make this video right now if you've got the software to capture your screen. You could do it right now for virtually no cost whatsoever without any equipment. And it would take you, how long would it take you? All you need is a little creativity to tell a great story. Now, I don't suggest that actually you do exactly what Google did there. But what I suggest is have a look at how you can create a story for your business and do it effectively. And as I said, all you need is a little bit of creativity. Okay, now, if you want a transcript or notes from this particular video, just a reminder, just go to my website, www.vimico.com.au, and subscribe to Video Marketing News. And if you do that today, if you're watching this live, you will get an email in 24 hours or so. Within 24 to 48 hours, you will receive an email with a complete notes from this video. And you can watch it again if you want to with a link. And you will receive that every week as long as you subscribe. And I think that's a great little benefit there for you. Okay, now if you're looking to broaden your horizons, get some more training for your video marketing, I have the Video Marketing Strategist Membership Program. It's a complete online video training program to learn to create the videos that you need to grow your business. It looks at 4 different types of videos. You attract videos, you build videos, you convert videos, you delight videos, all in one program. The cost is $47 Australian for lifetime membership. No other costs required. It's just a one-off cost. You'll get all the updates to the program. At the moment, it's probably around the $36 mark US. And you can go to the website there and look at the membership section there. So there it is there. It's a great little program. As I said, it's continually being updated, so you get the very latest information, absolutely no extra costs. So come and join the program, or come and connect with me either through my website. Join our video content marketing community on a Google community. Just type that in, video content marketing, and join our community. See me on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus, Interest, wherever you like to meet. I love to connect with you. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week, same time, same place, same channel. Bye for now.